invisible hook. Welcome back. Today, we aren't here to lecture you on lung cancer or show you scary pictures. You already know the risks. We are here to deconstruct the machine. We're going to use hard science to explain exactly how nicotine hacks your brain's operating system, why the cigarette is the perfect delivery device, and most importantly, the scientific reality of why you can break free. This is the science of addiction. Nicotine is a master of disguise. It is a naturally occurring alkaloid found in the nightshade family of plants, most notably tobacco. In nature, it acts as an insecticide, a neurotoxin designed to paralyze bugs that try to eat the plant. But in the human brain, it acts as a master key to a lock that wasn't designed for it. The fundamental problem with nicotine isn't just that you like it, it's that it mimics a crucial neurotransmitter your brain already uses, acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is vital for muscle movement, breathing, heart rate, learning, and memory. Because nicotine's chemical structure looks so similar to acetylcholine, it can slip past your brain's defenses, the blood-brain barrier, and insert itself into acetylcholine receptors. Think of it like this. Your brain has a finely tuned orchestra of chemical signals keeping you balanced. Nicotine is an aggressive guest conductor who rushes the stage, kicks out the real conductor, and starts directing the music at a frantic, unsustainable tempo. The first few times you smoke, you feel dizzy or nauseous because you are essentially poisoning yourself with a mild neurotoxin. But your brain is incredibly adaptable. It quickly decides that if this intruder is going to keep showing up, it needs to adjust the entire orchestra to accommodate it. That adjustment is the very beginning of the trap. The need for speed, the delivery system. If nicotine is the drug, the cigarette is the syringe. It is a marvel of evil engineering designed for one specific purpose: speed. You can absorb nicotine through your skin, like a patch, or your stomach, like chewing tobacco. But those methods are slow. Inhalation is different. When you inhale smoke, nicotine enters the millions of tiny air sacs in your lungs called alveoli. These sacs are covered in tremendous amounts of surface area, richly supplied with blood vessels. The nicotine is instantly absorbed into oxygenated blood that is heading straight for the heart, which then pumps it directly to the brain. The science tells us that from the moment smoke hits your lips, a blast of nicotine arrives in your brain within 7 to 10 seconds. This speed is crucial to addiction. Psychology and neuroscience teach us that the faster the reward follows an action, the stronger the reinforcement. It's the difference between working for a paycheck at the end of the month versus pulling a slot machine lever and instantly winning cash. That 10-second delay is short enough that your brain subconsciously links the physical act, the hand-to-mouth motion, the inhale, directly with the chemical payoff. The cigarette isn't just a container. It is the fastest drug delivery system known to man, faster even than intravenous injection. The dopamine hijack. Once that high-speed nicotine hits the brain, it triggers the real magic trick. It stimulates the release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, often called the brain's reward center. Dopamine is misunderstood. It's not just the pleasure molecule, it is the learning molecule and the anticipation molecule. It teaches your brain what is important for survival: food, water, social connection. These release dopamine, so you remember to do them again. When nicotine arrives, it causes an unnatural, massive surge of dopamine, much higher than a good meal or a hug. This flood sends a powerful, overriding signal to your brain that says, "This, whatever you just did, this is astonishingly important. Do it again. Prioritize this above everything else." This process is called incentive salience. The cigarette stops being just an object. It becomes salient, meaning it grabs your attention above all else. The brain isn't broken. It's actually doing exactly what it evolved to do: learn what brings rewards. It's just that nicotine has tricked the system with a super stimulus. You aren't weak-willed. Your survival instincts have been hacked by a molecule that pretends to be important. the tolerance creep, and the normal illusion. Remember how the brain is adaptable? When you flood it with nicotine day after day, the brain tries to regain balance, a state called homeostasis. If you constantly blast loud music at your ears, you eventually go a bit deaf. Similarly, if you constantly blast your brain with nicotine, the brain fights back. It does this by desensitizing the existing nicotinic receptors and, cruelly, by growing more of them. This is called upregulation. Now you have millions of hungry receptors screaming for nicotine. This is tolerance. The first cigarette that made you dizzy now barely affects you. You need 2, then 5, then a pack just to feel normal. This is the great illusion of smoking. Smokers often say they smoke to feel good. The scientific reality is that they smoke to stop feeling bad. The cigarette doesn't add pleasure to your baseline. It briefly relieves the discomfort caused by the previous cigarette wearing off. You spend your life chasing a feeling of normalcy that non-smokers feel all day long for free. The withdrawal monster. When you stop feeding those millions of upregulated receptors, all hell breaks loose. This is nicotine withdrawal, and it is a profound physiological event. Within hours of your last cigarette, nicotine levels crash. Those hungry receptors are empty. Your brain, now relying on nicotine to manage its chemistry, swings wildly in the other direction. Dopamine levels plummet below baseline, causing anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. Simultaneously, your brain releases extra noradrenaline, the fight-or-flight chemical. This results in anxiety, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and a physical restlessness, that feeling of climbing the walls. Crucially, during withdrawal, activity in your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain that says, "I want to quit because it's unhealthy," is diminished. Meanwhile, the deep primal areas driving cravings are screaming. You literally have less cognitive horsepower to fight the urge just when the urge is strongest. The withdrawal isn't you being dramatic, it's a measurable neurochemical storm. The Pavlovian smoker, triggers and conditioning. Nicotine addiction isn't just chemical, it's deeply behavioral. Remember that dopamine is a learning molecule? Every time you smoked, that dopamine surge took a snapshot of the environment. Morning coffee? Click. Dopamine. Finish a stressful phone call? Click. Dopamine. Driving the car? Click. Dopamine. Over years, you have created thousands of associative memories. You are essentially Pavlov's dog. Pavlov rang a bell and fed his dogs. Eventually, the dogs salivated at just the bell. For the smoker, stepping out of the office building is the bell. Finishing a meal is the bell. These environmental cues trigger a lightning-fast, subconscious craving before you even realize what's happening. You don't decide to want a cigarette. The situation decides for you. Breaking the addiction means not just fighting the chemical withdrawal, but untangling years of these deeply embedded behavioral triggers. The great lie. Smoking relieves my stress. If you ask 100 smokers why they continue, 90 will say, "It helps me handle stress." Science tells us this is perhaps the biggest lie of nicotine addiction. Smoking does not relieve stress. Smoking causes stress. Here is the mechanism. When you haven't smoked for 45 minutes, your body enters mild withdrawal. This exerts a subtle, subconscious physical stress on your system, a low-level anxiety. When a regular life stressor happens, your boss yells at you. You now have two stressors, the boss plus nicotine withdrawal. You smoke. The withdrawal stress vanishes instantly. You confuse the relief of withdrawal pangs with genuine stress relief. The cigarette didn't fix the boss yelling at you. It just stopped the additional pain the cigarette itself created. Smokers live in a constant state of heightened baseline stress that non-smokers simply don't experience. The turning point. Neuroplasticity is real. We've covered the heavy stuff. Now, the good news. And it is science-based good news. Your brain is not permanently broken. It possesses an incredible quality called neuroplasticity, the ability to change and rewire itself throughout your life. Just as your brain adapted to nicotine, it can adapt away from it. This is the science of recovery. When you stop introducing nicotine, the upregulation process reverses. Those millions of extra hungry receptors you grew, without nicotine to feed them, the brain realizes they are inefficient energy wasters. Over weeks and months, it prunes them back. Down-regulation occurs. Your natural dopamine production begins to reset to normal levels. The first few weeks are hard because your brain is physically rebuilding its infrastructure. But the science guarantees that if you starve the addiction, the physical grip must loosen. The brain always seeks balance, and it will find its balance without nicotine if you give it time. Breaking the chains. Science-backed strategies. Knowing the science means we don't have to rely on willpower alone. Willpower is a muscle that gets tired. We need strategy. Because addiction is twofold, chemical and behavioral, the best approach is often twofold. First, address the chemical. Nicotine replacement therapy, NRT, like patches or gum, isn't cheating. It provides a slow, steady, non-inhalable dose of nicotine to keep the physical withdrawal monster at bay while you tackle the harder part, the habits. Second, address the behavioral. You must re-engineer your triggers. If coffee makes you want to smoke, switch to tea for a month. If driving triggers you, chew regular gum the second you get in the car. You must also learn to surf the urge. Science shows the average intense craving lasts only about 3 to 5 minutes. It feels eternal, but it is temporary. If you can delay, distract, or deep breathe for just those few minutes, the neurochemical wave will crest and recede. The timeline of repair and the new you. The amazing thing about the human body is how desperately it wants to heal. The repair starts within 20 minutes of your last cigarette. Within 48 hours, your nerve endings start regrowing, and your sense of smell and taste begin to return. Within a few months, those cilia, tiny hairs in your lungs that clean out gunk, reactivate, and your coughing eases. But the biggest change is in your mind. The real victory isn't just health, it's freedom. It's no longer panicking when a meeting runs long because you need a fix. It's no longer standing outside in the freezing rain while others enjoy the party inside. The science is clear. Nicotine hijacked your brain's reward system. But the science is also clear that you can take it back. It will be the hardest fight of your life for a few weeks. But biology is on your side. The trap is built by chemistry, and it can be dismantled by time and persistence. You can do this.